Okay, hi everyone. So let's implement the multi-site indexer clustering now. And to do that, I have provisioned 5 instances in AWS Cloud. And I have already completed the installation to save the time. So I have, I'm going to have 2 sites in the multi-site indexer clustering that we are going to implement today. So I have provisioned 4 instances in total. One is going to act as a master server and then two nodes in each site. So 2 peer nodes in site 1 and 2 peer nodes in site 2. So, indexer 1, indexer 2, these two are going to be part of the site 1, indexer 3 and indexer 4. So these will be placed in site 2. So Splunk is installed. Splunk full version is installed in all these 5 instances, and that's up and running. So if I show you, and I have given the banner names as well. So this is going to act as a cluster master. This is indexer 1, indexer 2, which are going to be part of site 1. Indexer 3 and indexer 4, they will be residing in site 2. As of now, I haven't done any config changes, nothing. So if you go to indexer clustering, you will not find any clustering enabled here. So let's begin enabling the multi-site indexer clustering. If you remember, if you have gone through the video where I tried to explain the multi-site indexer clustering. So there are just 2 ways of enabling multi-site indexer clustering. There is no method of doing it through the Splunk web. If you try to do it from here, you can just configure the single site indexer clustering. But for the multi-site indexer clustering, you either need to do it by modifying the server.conf directly or using the CLI. So we will see both methods. What we will do, master node we will try to configure by editing the server.conf, while peer nodes we will try to configure using the CLI. So let's bring up the master node first. So what you need to do, just go to the server, and here we will try to edit the server.conf. So I'm just editing the server.conf inside system local, but as I have always been mentioning, you can do the config changes inside your custom apps as well. So that's absolutely up to you. So here I will go to system local, and here I will try to edit server.conf. So what we need to place here, and you can see my previous video, I have given the detailed info about configuring the multi-site indexer clustering using both the methods by editing server.conf or using the CLI. So this master node we are going to configure using the first method, which is by modifying the server.conf file directly. Ultimately, even if you are going with the CLI method, ultimately it's going to modify your server.conf only, right? So just that you get multiple options to enable the clustering. Like in single site clustering, you had 3 options. The additional option was to do it using the Splunk web as well, which is not supported for the multi-site indexer clustering. So here, this is the default config parameters what I picked from the Splunk's official documentation. So we are going to make minor changes here. Site name we will keep site 1, placing the master node to site 1, and multi-site is true. Available sites, so I'm keeping the default one, site 1, site 2. Replication factor, again I'm keeping the default one, so it's going to keep 2 copies of the data on the original site and another copy to the back, another site, and any available site. So if you have here site 3, 4, 5, so you can have multiple sites, right? So another copy can reside on any of the available sites. Site search factor, I'm going again keeping the default numbers, origin 1 and total 2. Passkey I will use Splunk cluster label, so I will change it to Splunk, or I will just see multi-site clustering. This is useful when you have different environments and then when you're monitoring your clustering environment using the monitoring console, that we will see in coming future videos. I will be recording these sessions, like how to configure the monitoring console, how to monitor your clustering environment using the monitoring console. So it's very useful when you're using the monitoring console to monitor your clustered environment. Fine, so let's place this to our server.conf in master node. Okay, so I will just save it and restart this link. Okay, so once the restart completes, it will enable the master node and then it will wait for the peer nodes to join the cluster. So let's see how it looks on the web. Okay, so Splunk has been restarted on the master nodes. Let's go back to the Splunk web and see how it looks, what changes has been done there. Perfect. So now you can see that the manager node has been enabled, right? You can see the name as well here, manager node. So this instance is acting as a manager node. Sorry for the accidental click there. So yeah, so this manager node has been configured here. And you can see the site info as well. If you remember, in single site indexer clustering, the site info was not populating there because in single site clustering we do not define the sites. Fine, so this master node is ready now. Let's quickly move to the peer nodes and configure the peer nodes. So indexer 1, I'm going to make it part of the site 1 because we have defined two sites, site 1, site 2. So again, for CLI, you just need to edit cluster config. It's very similar to single site indexer clustering, just that you need to define the sites here. So manager and then manager URI. So let me provide the right IP here. So let's copy the IP of master node. So master node, go to config, and this is the master node IP. Perfect, and it's the management port 8089. Replication port, I'm going to use 8080. Secret, if you remember, we have defined Splunk here, so it's going to be same in order to let your peers communicate with the master node. So let's copy this, go to your indexer 1 and then execute that. Okay, asking for the username password. Perfect. So the cluster config property has been edited. You need to restart. So just restart this one. And now this node will join the clustering. So as soon as this restart completes, on the master node, you will see that one peer node has joined the cluster, and we have made this the part of site 1, right? So you will see it under site 1. Okay, so before moving to the other nodes, let's see this how it looks. And then on the other three nodes, we will do it in a single go. Okay, so Splunk restarted. Let's go here, refresh it. And you can see now this one peer has joined indexer 1 and it's on the site 1. You can see all other infos, the searchable info, status, version, buckets, all the default indexes you can see, but you still see the data is not searchable, replication factor not met, search factor not met, because the required number of peers haven't joined the cluster yet. So let's quickly do that now. Sorry. Let's copy the command again. So indexer 2 also going to be the part of site 1. So let's execute that. Perfect. So config changed. Let's restart. Do the same on these peer node 3 and 4, like indexer 3 and 4. So these peers are going to be the part of site 2. So you just need to change the site name here. Site 2. Everything else remains the same. So this is done. Restart. Do it on the indexer 4 as well. And change the site to site 2. Restart Splunk. So now your indexer 3 and 4, these are going to be part of site 2. Indexer 2 and 1, they will be on the site 1. Okay, so let's see the web now. So 1 has been completed, that we have already checked. Indexer 2 also configured now. Indexer 3 done. Indexer 4, the restart is in progress. So just allow it for a moment and then it should be up. Fine. So now all peer nodes are configured. Let's go to the web. Perfect. So now on the master node, if you see, everything got turned into green now. You don't see any warnings or errors here, right? All data is searchable, search factor is met, replication factor is met. You can see all your peer nodes have joined the site. So indexer 1 has been configured, indexer 1 and 2, these are part of site 1. And indexer 3, which is this one, and indexer 4, these are part of site 2. So everything looks fine. So the configuration is done, the multi-site indexer configuration. Now let's log into the individual indexer. So we'll try to see how the data looks now. We haven't created any custom index as of now. Let's try to look out for the internal index only. So this is my index 1, and if I'm checking for internal logs here, right, you can see it's returning the data from indexer 1 and indexer 4. Similarly, if I'm going to indexer 2, it's giving me data from indexer 2 and indexer 3. So basically what's happening, it's returning data from both the sites, right? So it means the data has started replicating among all the available sites. So in our case, we have just 2 sites, site 1, site 2, and the data has been started replicating across multiple sites. So that's how the multi-site indexer clustering works. And now let's try to create a custom index. So what we will do, and if you remember, while implementing single site indexer clustering, I told it clearly, like whatever config changes you are doing on your peer nodes, those changes should be identical across all the peer nodes in the clustering, right? So what we will do now, we will try to create the test index, and that we will do on all 4 peers. So test, everything I'm keeping default. create it on the indexer 2 as well, indexer 3. And then indexer 4. Perfect. So we created test index to all our 4 indexers. Now I will not again walk you through on that, but if you remember while working on the single site indexer clustering, if you remember the important factor that we had to put in, so that was ref factor. Unless you define that ref factor equals to auto, the data will not be replicated, right? So that's mandatorily you need to do, and that config should be identical across all your peer nodes part of the clustering. So now if you go to we created index through the web, so I think it should be inside search it. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's here. Okay, so test index, right? So if you see it's just the index info, but it doesn't contain that ref factor equals to auto, right? And the default is ref factor equals to 0, which means the data will not be replicated for this index. So what we will do, we will modify this index across all our 4 peer nodes in order to make the data replicable for this index. So let's add that ref factor and then equals to auto. Save it and restart Splunk. And if you need the detailed info around this, how it works, I suggest you go back and watch my single site indexer clustering implementation video that I posted few days back. So that will give you the clear-cut idea like how this works. I've explained multiple scenarios here without editing ref factor. I tried to push some data. Then after editing ref factor, I tried to add some data. So you'll have different kind of scenarios there that will make the concept much clearer. Okay, so let's focus on this one for now. So go to search app local indexes and then add the ref factor. Equals to auto. Save it and restart. Do it on other 2 indexes as well quickly. This is my indexer 3. Restart. And then on the last indexer. Perfect. So it's added to all 4 indexes. Fine. So let's see if these. Okay, so I think the restart completed on all other nodes. The 4th one is pending. So let it complete, and then we will try to push some data to this index, and then we'll see if that data is being replicated to across other available sites. So indexer 1 and indexer 2, these are in site 1. We'll try to push some data to any of these indexers, and then we'll see if that data is being replicated to site 2, where we have indexer 3 and indexer 4. So let's go back to web. Before doing that, let's check if everything is fine on the clustering. Perfect. So now you can see replication factor is not made for now, right? So let's do that. Let's try to put some data now. Okay, so create some custom data. Make results even subjective Splunk topic clustering year 2025. Okay. Okay. Splunk clustering. Oh, sorry. So double quote. Yeah. So we have the sample data. Now let's try to collect it to index test. Perfect. So now if we'll see in index test, we have this one event. And what we expect our multi-site indexer clustering to replicate it to site 2. And if you remember the configs we have defined, right? So what it says, origin 2. So we'll try to push this data to site 1. So that becomes our origin site for this event. So it means the cluster has to keep 2 copies of this data on the origin site, which is site 1 in this case, and then another. So total it has to keep 3 copies, right? So that remaining 1 copy it has to replicate to the another available site. So what it means, we have indexer 1 and indexer 2 which are part of site 1. So to keep the 2 copies, what it will do, it will copy the same data here as well on the indexer 2. Let's see if it has been replicated. So nothing as of now. It will take some time to replicate the data, and then it will replicate to either of these indexers from site 2, because in total it has to keep 3 copies only. And the important thing to note here, so so if you see the search factor, what we have defined, just 1. So raw data copies it will keep 2 on the origin site, and then the searchable copies it will keep just 1 copy. So for now you will see just one indexer will return you that event, not both the indexers. My bad. So if you see the site search factor, so search factor is the one which keeps the searchable data, right? So it will keep just 1 copy on the origin site, and 1 copy it will move to the other available site. So any of the indexers from site 2 will return that result. So let's go to site 2. Let's check in indexer 3. Nothing is there. Check in indexer 4. Nothing. So I think that replication is in progress. Let's check. Test. So searchable data copies 2 in total, replicated data copies 3 in total, buckets 1. So it says search factor met, replication factor met. So now this data from site 1, it should have been copied here to site 2. Perfect. Now you can see on the site 2, right, indexer 3, you can see the same event is being returned. If you go to site 4, nothing, because on the other side it has to replicate just one searchable copy, right? Even on the indexer site 2, you will not see that event, right? Because now I think you got that concept, because we are keeping just 2 searchable copies in total, in which one it will keep on the origin site where the data has been reported first, and then the other copy it will replicate to the another available site. So that's how the multi-site indexer clustering works. And then you can try to configure the search heads for different sites. So for this site, you can implement a separate search head. For this one, you can implement a different search head, a standalone search head, or even the clustered one. So that's up to you. So that's about the multi-site indexer clustering, and I tried to explain it in detail. But still, if you feel like clarifying anything more on the multi-site indexer clustering, or even on the other topics we discussed, I request you to put it on the comment box. So I'll try to reply it ASAP. And again, I mean, if you haven't subscribed my channel yet, just a request to subscribe it. Thanks for watching the video.